What's up, everybody? This is the Gridiron Gilly Show. I'm the host, Gridiron Gilly. Today I have Coach Ryan Ebner with the Grandview Zebras. Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Just hanging in there. Besides football, I assisted coaching baseball. I was the head baseball coach for 14 years and got back in it this year, and so been busy with that. And then I have a kid that's in fourth grade as well. One just graduated and one in fourth grade, so been helping out with a little bit of his stuff and just staying busy. My wife's a softball coach, so both our seasons have started in that regard, and we're just trying to get it done.
Yes, sir. So usually whenever I do this, first thing I like to do is have the coaches introduce themselves, talk about, where you grew up at, where you played ball, your coaching journey, and then, what brought you to Grandview, how long you've been there, were you an assistant, when you became the head coach, and if you want to talk about your staff or anything like that, man, you can go ahead.
Like you said, my name is Ryan Ebner. I grew up in San Antonio, went to Converse Judson. Back in the 90s, it was a really, really good school, and we won 3 state championships in the 4 years I was there. Now I'm not saying it's because of me by any means, but I just was fortunate enough to be there during that time. I played football and baseball, 1 year basketball. We The 1 year we didn't make it, my junior year, we lost in the game before state. So I tell people all the time I missed 1 week of football in high school. Coach Rutledge was our head coach. He's one of the top coaches that ever have coached in Texas. So I was very fortunate to play for him and his staff. Once I graduated, I got a small baseball scholarship to Ranger Junior College and went off there. Was there for 2 years. Then went to McMurray. Played baseball there. Met my wife. She had been at Ranger before I got there, and then had come back and started coaching there. So she was a college. She's presently our softball coach now, but she had been a college coach for 25 years before coming here. And she'd been to the state tournament the last 3 years. Won one past spring. So she's been very fortunate and blessed to have some really good players. And so we had a meeting in Dayton, and then got engaged. And how I ended up in Grandview was I didn't necessarily want to go back to Ranger, just being a small town and things like that. And so she ended up applying at Hill College, which is in Hillsboro, and I got that job. And so we started just looking around at jobs. I'd planned to go back towards the San Antonio area. In fact, I had a job. It wasn't with coaching, but it was doing special ed stuff in Leander. And anyways, obviously she found that job there, and so we started looking around places here, and Grandview had just opened up a spot for a special ed teacher / coach, junior high coach. So they, 2 of us just did junior high. Once they found out that I had done baseball, they asked if I wanted to be the in a high school baseball coach. That's the only thing high school wise that I did. So that was 21 years ago or 23 years ago, and I haven't left since. So I've been here my whole career. Started as a junior high coach, other than baseball. About year 3, Coach Sims came, who's to me the one that changed and turned around this place as far as what you see it today. He came in. I had been offered the head baseball job. Me and my wife actually had talked about possibly leaving Lamar University, was making a softball program, and so she was thinking about put her name in the hat for that. And I told her, I said, well, heck, I can be a junior high coach anywhere. Well, once I got the head high school baseball coaching spot, I said, we're not going anywhere. And so I did that for 14 years. And then in 2015, Coach Walraven, who just got the job at Hutto, was at Alvarado. He had come in with Coach Sims as an offense coordinator. He made me the defensive coordinator here. And then he left in 2017. And at that point, I could have put my name in the hat, but they wanted me to give up baseball. And I didn't necessarily want to do that. I'd rather have been the head baseball and head football, and just not done the AD deal per se, because I love it here, and just it's a tough gig. They don't give you a handbook and say, here, this is how this works. You just got to crash course type thing. And so in 2017 was the DC, still had baseball. Coach Davis came in. In 2018, we won our first state championship. He went to retire at Christmas in 2018. Brought me in and said, hey, you ready to do this now? I said, yeah. I figured, but I've done all this to this point. I might as well. And I talked to some other coaches, Coach Walker, Coach Sims, a couple other guys, Coach Youngs, and just what they thought I should possibly do. And Coach Walker even said, he goes, I just think you'll kick yourself if you never give it a try. And so at that point, I accepted the job and been doing it ever since. We won it 2019, made it back this year. Like I said, my wife's been to the state tournament the last 3 years, so we've been very blessed to have success here. And my son is in the fire academy. He went K through 12, graduated last year, and I got a fourth grader, Knox, right now. So I'm hoping to make it another 10. That'll put him 2 years out of high school, and then we'll see what happens after that. But everything's been great. This place is awesome. We live, if you go right outside the field house door, there's a little creek, and on the other side there's a neighborhood. We live right there. It literally is closer for me to walk than to drive. And so, I've just been blessed. You're in college, and you start thinking about getting your first job, and then what's that going to look like, and just trying to land somewhere. You don't necessarily care where. You're just trying to get a paycheck, and then the fact that I've been blessed to land here and such a great place and be able to raise my kids at such a great school district and be a part of it is truly a blessing for me and my wife.
Yes, sir. So you've been the head coach since 2019 season?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I tried to do a little research on it. So 18 one state, 19 one state, and then an appearance this past year.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We've been 3 of the last 8 years.
3 of the last, and then 1, 2 of the 3. Well, like I said, I know I'm a football guy. That's usually what I talk about. But it seems like you're a football and a baseball guy. I know a little bit about baseball, not enough to have a podcast about it, though. But just some things. Tell me if I'm right on this, because like I said, I do research, but sometimes it's not correct information. The district you just came out of, was it Whitney, Grandview, West, Maypearl, Mahia, and Groesbeck? Is that correct?
Yes.
And then the new district you're in for the 26 and 27 season for football is Grandview, Groesbeck, Keene, Mahia, Palmer, West, and Whitney.
Yes.
Okay.
Keene finally got good outlaw spending for about 4 years. Added themselves in the UIL and then Palmer slid over this direction.
Okay. What are your where do I want to go with this? Well, the first thing I'll ask, off season. What does off season look like at Grandview as far as like the expectations and preparing for the 26 season in football?
So the way we do it here is whatever sport you're in, because we want everybody to be a multi-sport athlete. So during football, I have them. Everybody that plays football, there is an off-season baseball and an off-season basketball. Those coaches lift those kids on the days we're not. So during the football season, we'll lift before school on Tuesday, Wednesday, and then we lift during the period on Thursday. During the off season, we'll lift 4 times a week. But once our season's over, whoever plays basketball goes to basketball, and so whoever is left stays in off season. Like this year, we were fortunate enough to play up to Christmas, so we had them the whole time. If we would have, say, lost in the 3rd round or something like that, if you don't go to basketball, you go to basketball. You lift when their time lifts, because we don't have them lift on game day, basically every other day. And then baseball, if you were football, you stay with me until Christmas, and after Christmas, I let them go down and start getting their arms ready and things like that. So they'll have them during the period. So right now, we don't have as many kids in off season just because we got 2 sports going on. But as things end, when basketball's done, then we'll get those football kids back and they'll start doing workouts with us then. And then obviously once baseball's done, they'll come back down. So the group gets a lot smaller for a little bit. They're still lifting. They just do it for their sport. And I think it's good just because you're not hammering them on the same thing. They're using different parts of their body and the different types of lifts. To me, it makes you a little bit more well-rounded. And but they're all still required to lift for sport. So right now, we don't have a ton of kids here just because they're in other sports. But like I said, now that you can work them out during the summer, that's a large majority of when from May, June, July, getting ready for football. But we do a lot of early morning workouts, and then we'll do uh, your normal stuff. We go to the mat room once a week. We'll do stands. We'll break up into different groups and do like ladders over here. Feed the cat, which is a form running workout you have, and then we'll have to do stands, and then sometimes we'll do our track workouts so they can be done before school ends. So we just keep on doing a lot of stuff throughout the day. But the weight room is huge for us. It's Coach Sims started having us come in the mornings years ago. I mean, I'm talking 15 plus years ago, and it's just one of those things that we kind of hang our hat on, and that we've continued to do since it started.
Okay. Some schools, they have the AD and the football coach separate. Some schools they have a boys AD and girls AD. Are you the man over it all?
Yes, I'm the AD, but I do have a girls coordinator, and I'm out pretty much him. He does such a great job, Tyler Adams, and but I'm the AD. He's the girls coordinator, and obviously I'm I guess you'd say the boys coordinator. But as far as athletics, yes, I'm in charge of all of it.
What is Grandview as a whole? Like, I know they're good at football. I've seen them play in December for several years now. But other sports, how are they in other sports?
We typically make the playoffs in everything. We've in 2017 we went to the state tournament in boys basketball and went to the state tournament in softball. And then the last 3 years, like I said already, my wife has been to the state tournament in softball. Our girls basketball does a really good job. Coach Adams is a fantastic basketball coach. And in baseball, we typically were in the top 25. So I don't consider us a football town. We just try to be great at everything. And so that's why I allow them to have their kids when they have them. Because to me, if you say you're all about that, but then you treat yourself different than you treat everybody else, then that's not going to fly. So we are really good in academics as well. Like we've won state or got second in state in UL academics. Our elementary is blue chips. I can't remember exactly what they call it. Blue ribbon. Excuse me. School. Great. I mean, so in elementary it is a outstanding. Not that the other schools aren't, but just elementary, man, it's a great foundation for that stuff. And we do UI academics, elementary, junior high, and then high school as well. We've won up till last year. A charter school finally knocked us off, but we had won it like 43 years in a row as far as academics go. So we have a lot of high standards here, and it's like I said, it's a great place to raise your kid, just because of they're well rounded in academics and athletics.
Okay.
Our ag program's great. Our band goes to state, does all those competitions. I mean, everybody's expected to win, and does. Like I said, it's a great, well-rounded district. Our admin is fantastic. A lot of people don't leave; they stay. Like I've had a bunch of coaches on my staff stay for years and years and years, and so it's a line from the top down. The principals get along with me, I get along with them. Superintendent, we're all very close, and like I said, it's to me that's one of the best reasons for Grandview. Our school board is it that they're not trying to meddle with what's going on. They know Mr. Basham runs the school district, and they support him, and it's a great setup that we have here.
So I think I had read something that was it 17 or 18? I forgot. You said that y'all won state. Was it 18?
18 and 19.
18 and 19. Okay. And 19 was your first year as the head coach?
Yes.
Okay. So before that, I think it was like 100 years. It was like a 100-year drought or whatever that they had went without a state championship. So historically, I'm not sure what Grandview was, like if they were used to losing all the time or the one and done in the playoff type team, but I know what the standard is there now. So, or at least I think I do. But that's my next question. It's a cliche thing to talk about the standard and the culture, but in your opinion, what is the standard of the football program at Grandview?
Well, I say it all the time. We want to get 1% better every day, and so I say, and you're never a loser if you learn. So if we make a mistake, as long as we're fixing it, we're rolling on. Nobody's perfect. Nobody expects you to be perfect, but we do expect you to get better. And we expect you to act right in the classroom, make good grades, things like that. I think that's kind of a foundational deal for the school districts, and we just carried on in athletics. I always ask the kids at the beginning of the school year, what's my number one job? And they usually say to win. And I go, no, my job is to make great men and a character for this community. And if we're doing that, and if we're winning at, how do we go eat at a restaurant with a Grandview zebra hat on your head? How do you act in the hallways? How are you acting in the classroom? If you're winning every situation, if you're a good person and you've got great character, if you're doing that every single day, then that's just going to take care of the game. So our mantra is STA. I won't say what it means. It's just something in-house, but we want to get 1% better every day. We want to be great men and women of the community and making ourselves held to a higher standard. And that's basically what we talk about, just trying to be a champion in everything we do.
Okay. That pretty much wraps up that 16, 17, 18 minutes, something like that. We've been on so far. That wraps up all those questions. Next question. I'm not going to put you on the spot and ask you the best player you've coached. But in your opinion, you played football back in the day?
Yes.
Okay, so the best player that you can remember that you played against, or one that you've coached against?
One that I've coached against. When I was in high school, we had a tailback named Gerard Douglas. I wasn't on the team with him, but I was scout team, and he had broke a lot of records rushing wise. As far as I know, that's not necessarily the question, but he went to Baylor and broke the freshman record for rushing. But I got to see him every single day. I mean, he was recruited by everybody. So that was as a 14, 15-year-old kid, and you're sitting there watching this guy practice every day, and then Notre Dame coaches are standing right next to you. I just remember the impact it made on me at such a young age, just to know that you're watching a Division I football player every single day. And he was phenomenal to watch on the football field. As far as best player I've coached against, my first year as the DC in 2015, the tailback from Cameron Young, when they were on that run, he since passed away in a boating accident. But I just remember, no matter what I called, it didn't seem to matter. He was that good. He was that patient. Obviously, he had multiple state. He blew his knee out in the state game that Brock ended up winning. They were up like 21, and he made a cut going to the end zone and blew his knee out, and they ended up losing. Just to tell you how much of an impactful player he was. After, I mean, they were up two or three touchdowns, and when he came off the field, all of a sudden, one, I think it was just a slam to their system as far as him being out to the teammates and things like that. But he was an unbelievable player. It was little things like, even if you hemmed him up in the backfield, he would just fall, so he would have to take the hits. It was just, that's how smart he was playing the game. And I just remember going, man, I'm not sure there's anything that we can do to stop him. So I mean, he's the one most recent times that I can remember just felt helpless on the sideline.
Next question. And I've had coaches say some off the wall stuff, and I've had some coaches say that they're just a boring guy and they don't have nothing going for them. But Ryan Ebner, what would someone be surprised to know about you?
The whole reason I'm going to say this is because I was interviewed by David Smoke. Smoke he's in Central Texas and Waco. He's been Baylor and things like that. And my superintendent thinks it's dumb, but I hate collars. I know I got this on, but I can't stand to wear a collared shirt. I mean, it's something about, I don't know, it's a mental thing. Like when it's hot and humid and something such, like when I play golf, I got it spread out, and I know it's dumb, it's goofy, but my superintendent he actually asked my wife a question, and my super goes, "Tell him this." So I would say that's the weirdest thing about me. Other than that, I think I'm pretty much normal like everybody else. I like to hang out with my friends, and we have a boat. We'll go on the lake and stuff like that. But I mean, I've been playing sports since I was 4 years old, and this takes up a lot of our time. Obviously, my wife's a coach, so we spend 90% of our time at a field somewhere. But when we're off, we like to hang out with friends and get on the water whenever we can. We like to go to Colorado. But the weirdest thing I'd say is the collar shirt thing.
I like that. I didn't expect that. That's awesome. No color shirts for Christmas. Last couple questions. You said you've been coaching there since like around 2003, the early 2000s. So you've been doing this thing for a while at the same program, and a program that when you got to it, they were here. But now the standard and everything has changed dramatically, and y'all are used to playing football past Thanksgiving just about every single year. So the question is advice. Any advice you have for coaches who are young, or coaches who are still looking for that, to building that successful program and this, that, and the other? Any advice you have at all for younger coaches in the game, or maybe some old ones who are looking to be where you're at?
That's a good question, because I remember at some point in baseball, we had success early, but we weren't really doing anything into the playoffs and deep in the playoffs at all. I don't know that we made it past round one. Or we'd have a bye because we win district. We'd win district pretty much every year. And I remember thinking, how do you do this? It's like, how is this? These coaches make runs and all this stuff. It just seems easy for them, things like that. And we were at coaching school for baseball, and we had all our drills down. I had the same head coach the whole time, the same assistant coach the whole time. So we built this thing together, and from outfield down to catcher, we had all the drills, everything practice scheduled, everything we were doing, what I felt was right, and it wasn't really meaning to anything but district. We were winning district, and I remember how much Coach Rutledge and our coaches in high school did a lot of classroom stuff, mental stuff, and made you sit still, and you couldn't move until they were done, and things like that. And there happened to be a mental coach there that day, and at 2:00 he was going to speak, and I told my assistant, I said, "Hey, let's go to this thing at 2:00." We're headed to lunch. He goes, "Man, come on." I was like, "I know it sounds stupid. We've done everything else though. We ought to just give it a try." And within 15 seconds of him talking, I knew I was doing it wrong. And what he said was, if he goes, "Well, how many? If a second baseman boots a ball, how many are going to rip his butt?" And everybody raises their hand. And he said, "But have you ever thought about this? If he's giving you everything he's got, why are you yelling at him?" And I thought, oh my God, I'm doing this so wrong. He goes, if a kid's giving you that's what you should be worried about. So everything became attitude and effort. I'm going to coach. I'm not coaching your attitude and effort. Those are non-negotiables. You're going to give it, or you're going to be sitting on the bench. And as long as you're doing those things the right way, there's no reason to get mad at you. And I remember coming back, sitting my team down, telling them all that kind of stuff, and said, "Guys, we're going to practice hard. I'm going to get on you at practice, things like that. But in the game, I'm going to let you play." And because I was the guy who his hat or, hit a door or something like that, just you could see my frustration. And I remember it was the first inning of a scrimmage or something, that somebody booted a ball, and every one of them turned and looked in the dugout, and I didn't move. I just sat there, and I watched it wash off. And all of a sudden, we started making plays after plays after plays. And so I carried that over to being a DC. And I think first off, you got to define your program for the kids, and they all need to be saying the same thing. And I got this from Coach Schlosser, who's now at UT. He had the same guy. His name is Brian Kane, this middle coach, come in. And he said, "Well, if I asked your players, what do they say about your program? What would they say?" He said, "Well, they better say this and this and this and this and this." And he just named a bunch of stuff. And but it was just a bunch of stuff. It was just words. And so he defined it in selfless effort. I can't remember all the other ones, but so I did that. I had one for my baseball program. Give me 100% attitude and effort every day. And I put that on our practice plan. Did the same thing so it worked. We started making deep runs. When I became the DC for football, I did the same thing. I defined what it was. And it was basically just giving great effort at all times. But everybody knew what we were going to do. Everybody was on the same track, going the same direction. And so once you define that, it gave everybody a plan of what was expected every single day. Well, then that makes your day easier. Now you just get to a coach. And at that point, once you align your expectations, and they need to be certain things, and they need to be visible. Like that Brian King guy goes, you'll never know what taking a 1 cent piece of paper with words on it, how it can impact somebody and how that sticks with them. So quotes, but make sure it's quotes that fits what you want to do and what your program is, and they see it, and they're talking that verbiage, and they're discussing those things, and it's something that's truly important to what you do every day. And the other thing is, and this is where I feel like a lot of coaches get it confused, is don't take yourself so seriously. It should be fun. They should enjoy themselves. They should enjoy playing sports. They should enjoy being around you. You hold them to a high standard. That doesn't mean you have to scream and yell at them every single second. Now you can get on their butt, and you should, but don't take yourself so seriously that the people around you don't enjoy what they're doing. And I feel like if you're holding to that standard and you're defining what they need to do, one that's going to help them do what you want, expect out of them every single day. But if you're having a great relationship with them and they're enjoying what they're doing and being around you, you're going to get the best out of them. They're just going to play their hearts out for you. They know you're working hard for them, showing up every day to help them get better. But if you define that stuff and don't take yourself so seriously, just understand that these are kids and they're going to make mistakes. Coaches, you get frustrated. But like I tell them all the time, I said, they're supposed to make mistakes. This is when they learn it. We learned it. We did the same dumb things when we were at that age. Teach them. Let's get 1% better. Don't take it so serious. Like I tell the kids all the time, nobody cares how you make the cake. They just care about how it tastes. So, when it comes to decisions for myself, I just try to go with control what I can control. And that takes care of 95% of your issues. People worry about a lot of things. But then when you probably sit back and go, you know what, is there anything I can do about that? And if the answer is no, then why are we worrying about it? Cut the stress out, and go from there. So, like I said, define what you're doing. Don't take yourself so seriously.
I like that answer. Last thing, what's the population of Grandview?
About 2,500, a little more.
2,500.
Slowly growing. We're not like a lot of areas around the DFW area. We're still got that country feel. One stoplight in downtown. There are some little pockets in areas going up, but we're around 25, 2,600.
And geographically, I know where Grandview is, but just explain where Grandview is so people have an idea of where you're located at.
It's located on I-35, right next. The hill country's pretty close, but I-35. So in Hillsboro, which is south of us, it's split. We call it the Y, and that's when 35 East goes to Dallas and 35 West goes to Fort Worth. So we're on 35W, located south of Fort Worth, but basically between Fort Worth and Hillsboro. We're basically in the middle. North of us is Alvarado, south of us is Itasca.
Okay. So in this town of Grandview, approximately 2,500 people, there's some restaurants there I know that y'all eat at. In your opinion, if someone wants to come watch a football, baseball, softball, basketball, whatever type of game they want to come to town and watch, where's a good spot that they should eat at? And this is the last question, by the way.
This is pretty easy. As far as restaurants, we only have two. There's El Campesino and R&K, and both. So El Campesino's Mexican food, and R&K's more home style type food. They're both fantastic. I've eaten there numerous times. You can't. Either one you can't go wrong. We have a couple, like we have a Subway and Burger King right by the highway, out there by the gas stations. But as far as restaurants, we have those two. There's a coffee shop that's opened up that does a lot of coffee / breakfast stuff. I know I've never ate there, but I know everybody loves it in town. But as far as in the evenings, R&K or El Campesino are your two choices. Like I said, they're both really, really good.
All righty. Well, that wraps it up. El Campesino and R&K. That wraps it up. That's all the questions I had. One thing I failed to say, and I feel like I should, is you got one of the best mascots in the state of Texas by far. I love it. I loved it ever since I first heard about it. I think in 18, probably when y'all won that first state championship, was when I was first introduced to the product of Grandview. I was like, man, that's an awesome mascot.
There's only 5 of them in the nation. I remember when I came to interview, I was 22 years old, and I came and I said, so what is the mascot here? And they said the zebras. And I had saw a bunch of zebra stuff. But that was about the time that those all the women were having a zebra purse or a leopard purse. I don't know if you remember that. It was just
Mm-hmm.
those two things that I thought it was just that, And then I go, oh my gosh, for the zebras. And anyways, but then I come to find out there's only 5 of them in the nation. One in New Jersey, somewhere in California. I don't know. But like I said, it's very unique for sure.
Probably the only one in Texas.
100%.
All right, man. Well, like I said, I love that. I love what you're about, and I love what you represent. And I look forward to following y'all the rest of the way.
Man, I sure appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time to talk.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your time. God bless y'all.
You bet. Same to you.